Good morning, Vaishnavi.
Good morning, ma'am.
Mm, Shall we start, ma?
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
The students, only I am there, ma'am.
Yeah, I could see that.
Shall we wait for more 10
In a
minutes?
minute? All right, then.
5 minutes.
Sure. Num 1 or 2 minutes, we'll wait until others
Okay,
join.
ma'am.
Yeah. Are you able to see the screen, Vaishnavi?
Yes, ma'am.
Not. Um, can we recap what we discussed yesterday until meanwhile, others will
Okay,
join?
okay, ma'am. Okay,
If you
ma'am.
remember, we discussed, try to understand what is the meaning of performance management.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, we discussed some of the definitions given by the prominent people who are into the same field,
Yes, ma'am.
and what is the significance and scope, um, and the benefits of having performance management in the organization. How it
Yes.
is going to benefit both individual employees as well as the
Group.
employer and the organizations we discussed.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And we also uh, discussed about various elements of performance management, if you remember. But one topic we couldn't complete yesterday, so I would prefer to complete that topic also before we move to Unit 2.
Yes, sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. Hope so. We finished all these topics yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Are you able to see the screen, ma?
Yes, ma'am.
And am I audible,
Yes, ma'am.
or do I need to be little louder?
It's okay, ma'am. You are audible.
Right, right. So let's start with understanding how this performance management have evolved over a period of time. Uh, and actually, this started long, long ago, though the name was not the same. It was started in 221 AD in China, like uh, in China, there was some rulers that time. There was an emperor for the Wei dynasty, where they used to use some kind of evaluation method for the employees of that dynasty, especially meant for the people who are working for the kingdom in the dynasty, royal people. But that didn't work well. That man was. It was not It was not a formal method of performance management actually, but we can consider that as the beginning of performance management in an informal way. Then later on, In reality, in 1880s, uh, we can say that this performance management have begun in reality in workplaces. When you consider uh, in 1990s, there was a man called W.D. Scott who was considered as a person who actually began this performance management or appraisal systems uh, in as early as in, World War One. But until 20th century, the concept of performance management was not really uh, taken momentum. In 1920s, industrial revolution, after industrial revolution, mass production have increased, and a number of employees and workers in working in factories have increased, and the focus was shifted to operational efficiency. The employer started thinking more about increasing efficiency at workplace. During 1930s, the organizations have started focusing on or thinking about what they are investing and what the returns they are getting, right? So concept of ROI, return on investment, was introduced during 1930s. Okay, so yeah, they're expecting returns in proportion to the income what the resources are what they spent during a particular period. Uh, in reality, to be precise, organizations started taking this performance management very seriously since 1950s. Okay, the proper formal system or formal methods or processes have developed since 1950s. Okay, during 50s there were a few different concepts were into implementation. Say for example, personality based system where individual's personality was taken into consideration to to assess their performance, like their personality, knowledge related to job, how sincere they are, how loyal they are. These were the aspects that taken into consideration to evaluate the performance of the employees. And little focus was given uh, on the aspects like self appraisal, uh, um, and monitoring. This there was no such concepts like self appraisal and monitoring of performance of the employees. Maybe at the end of the year or after a period, after a long period of employee or worker associated with the company, they might give some kind of evaluation process, right? It was in in 1950s and 60s, between 1950s and 60s, then a management consultant and very renowned name, Peter Drucker, was the one who introduced or proposed a concept called management by objectives, shortly called as MBOs. This method or this concept became very popular. Many organizations tried to adopt this concept for a short period of time, but it did not last for a long time. By the 60s, there is another concept called merit ratings. Rating was introduced, especially in US and UK. And in these two methods, objectives and goals were measured, and the focus was more on self-appraisal. And uh, people started looking at what employees are able to achieve in the future and assessing the performance of the employees and focusing on objectives, goals, etc. So this went on for a while. Of course, did not last for a long time again, like any other previous methods. During 70s, people started finding fault with the existing methods of performance appraisal. So slowly they started focusing on human psychology based methods, concepts, okay, like psychometrics were taken into
Yes.
consideration uh, to assess the people performance. Uh, am I clear so far, ma?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Right. Do let me know if you have any thing to discuss or to share. Right. Then,
Ma'am.
yeah. Yes, please. You want to say something?
No, ma'am.
Right.
Continue. Continue.
Yeah. So then comes in 1980s. So then the pharmacy of General Electric, uh, Jack Welch, he was the one who introduced a wonderful concept which even today many companies are following, which is called as bell curve method, or also called as ranking method, or forced ranking method, and also called as stock ranking. In this method, what managers were used to do is like they used to place uh, 20% of the employees in the top as a top performers, 70% of employees as a average performers, and rest of the 10% of the employees as underperformers. So managers were forced either to forced to place each and every employee out of these three, one out of these three categories. It went on for a while. Many companies adopted this concept, but again, people started. Even now, some companies are still adopting this concept of performance management and evaluation. Okay, so uh, that went on for a long time. But today, the modern companies, modern organizations are free to adopt or design tailor-made performance management systems for their organizations. Some of them includes 360-degree performance, where uh, assessment will be done by people from all the directions. Like, take one employee as an example, and his subordinate will evaluate, his boss will evaluate, superior and or boss will evaluate, peers will evaluate. So the evaluation process or assessment process will be done in all directions, which again mm, uh, gained a momentum in this era. Right. This is something uh, how performance management evolved over a period of decades, starting from uh, uh, history from China. Right. So there are some beautiful cases where um, research was conducted and number of employees were interviewed to collect the data about about their opinion on performance management system which is existing in their organization. There was a company called Endure Private Limited, which was in Mumbai, and they were into manufacturing of aluminum dies and various products related to casting, uh, uh, transmission, um, bracket products, etc. And their a sales annual turnover was very high. It was 300 and 230 billion euros, approximating to 1,265 crores of Indian rupees during 2006 and 2007. So there was a research conducted by Mr. Pandey and Ms. Geeta, right? They interviewed people, approximately 3,700 people from different nations across from it include 19 plants in 5 locations, including 625 employees which are abroad. Out of the result of this research was like very clear, and 60% of the respondents agreed that environment and relationship during these performance interviews was open and cordial. So majority of the people felt that the process of this performance evaluation and performance management system was good in their organization. So more than around 20% of the employees felt agreed strongly for the same opinion, and that shows that that organization has an excellent performance management system which was inbuilt. So with this, I'm closing unit 1 and moving on to unit 2. Um, in unit 2, we have topics called performance management process. In this, we are going to see how performance management cycle cycles are involved in the process, and um, what are the activities, what are the principles of designing an effective performance management, and what are the various elements to design a performance management system. Are there any guidelines for designing this effective performance management system? What is performance management square? These are the topics which we are going to cover in unit 2. So let's start with understanding performance management. S- So, what is performance? To put it in simple words, it's an achieving objectives within the organization is considered as an performance. Say you set a goal, set an objective, set an aim, and you achieved it. You achieved it beyond your expectations, high performance. You achieved it up to the expectations. You achieved it close to expectations, and you are not able to achieve it to than expected. So this is the base, or this is what we are looking at, and nothing but an attainment of objectives. Um, but why we need to create this performance management system? What is the purpose of creating this? It's nothing but giving a support to the employees to develop their knowledge, skills, abilities. Of course, the attitude towards the task what they're doing, or the objective what they set, the goal what they set. So it is considered as a performance management process is considered as a cyclical process. If that starts with having a plan, or developing a proper plan, and of course ending with the feedback and continuous coaching. So it goes on from planning to going through various steps and ends up in feedback. And of course, it is a collaborative process. It involves lots of communication between the people who all are involved uh, within the hierarchy or within the system. Okay, so we can say it as a communication based process and collaborative process. So here, who all are involved in this designing the plan? Plan is designed based on discussions, or as an outcome of discussion among the employees as well as the management. Both work together to design the plan and continuously monitor this plan, review this plan, uh, what all the objectives set, and they design they set long term goals for each and every employee, and what the contribution, not each and every employee's contribution to the organization is decided. So it is a continuous process and a regular process. Continuous discussion should be going on between the employer and employee, or the supervisor and the subordinate, or the manager, and the team member. Okay, it's a regular process and continuous process, and of course the proactive process. Uh, and here the key is, it's all about utilizing all the competencies to the maximum or optimum level by the organization. So, how to utilize um, employees' competencies to the optimum level to gain the output? These are all planned in performance management process. And of course, creating an excellent work environment, congenial work environment, having good relation among the peers and all the people involved in the organization. And of course, support is required from all directions to everybody. So supporting each other in a healthy environment. And it's all about making the employees feel comfortable in achieving their objectives and goals, or assigned goals. So the process of performance management involves all these should involve all these key um, criteria. If you want to understand better, let's see, look into the characteristics of performance management process. It's a continuous, as I already mentioned, continuous function and logical function, logical process, which involves various organizations. Uh, it's better than, or it is more or maybe I can say that it is much more crucial than general management process. And every organization have their own designs, and the way they implement this process is unique for each and every organization and differs from organization to organization. The key significant areas includes planning, development, and appraisal of performance. Of course, it is flexible. It shouldn't be rigid. According to the changes, according to the trends in the market, the system has to be should adopt the new methods, and uh, when they adopt new methods or adopt the change, that change will bring positive. It should bring positive uh, result on outcomes. It's a coherent process that should be worked out as a team. No individual can achieve uh, that outcomes. Okay, and of course, it is an integrated activity. Integration of various activities. The different activities are involved and integrated to achieve the common goal. And formal process, right? And human oriented rather than system oriented or technical oriented. Of course, the future oriented, as I mentioned, it's a proactive process, and transparency is the key, and mutual trust and fairness are important. Okay. Uh, let's look into performance management cycles. There are six key aspects in performance management cycle: planning, execution, assessment, review, and development and audit. Okay. Planning obviously involves goal setting, objective setting. Okay. And each and every employee need to identify uh, their own goals, which can which can be aligned with the organizational goals. Where they can take support from their supervisors or the managers, and result oriented. Uh, um, Also need to identify key result areas, key performance areas. There should be some kind of indicators uh, to note the performance of the employees. And there are other areas which should be discussed mutually by all the people involved. When employee want to achieve has to achieve certain goals, the managers also have to agree. Both have to discuss and agree specific goals and objectives, and what are the standards to evaluate the objectives. Standards should be designed in advance and setting the standards. What are the factors going to determine who is accountable in what area? What are the different elements should be taken into development plan? What are the specific objectives and specific goals? And these aspects also should be taken into uh, consideration when you plan performance. Execution, what all a planned should be implemented, should be executed, right? Uh, or while executing, there might be many challenges. People might face many challenges, and the spa challenges has to be addressed from time to time so that they can achieve achieve the actual plan. And timely assessment is also key for achieving objectives. Continuous assessment, timely reviews, timely feedback, all these will help in achieving objectives and goals. And individual development plan for the employees as well as team as well as to the organization should be designed, and continuous auditing should be there. Uh, Auditing of each and every process, each and every aspect of the uh, plan should be audited uh, in the performance management system. Okay. Um, uh, then comes is activities of performance management. What all the activities are involved? What are the activities involved? Uh, Common activities involves objective setting, measuring performance, giving feedback on outcomes or the results, and dedicating appropriate outputs. These are the common activities which are involved. But according to Harrison, who uh, set some kind of special activities in 1993, he felt that uh, performance management is totally different from performance appraisal. So he suggested some key activities which should be included in performance management, and which involves it is important for organization or the top management to discuss and communicate organization's vision and mission to the uh, employees. What their vision that should be shared with every person who are involved in the process. Setting targets, conducting formal reviews on the day-to-day progress, identifying training if any required, training need identification, and reward outcomes. What reward the employee is going to get if once they achieve the target, that is should be clear in advance. So finally, evaluating effectiveness of the process. These are the key activities should be involved in the process of designing performance management as per Horizon. Then Armstrong and Murlis in 1988, they suggested six ingredient uh, activities. Again, it includes reviews, counseling, potential reviews, career counseling, career performance improvement, career development programs, rewards, and reviews. These are the six key indicators are integrated in designing performance management. So, what are the principles while designing effective performance management? Are there any rules and regulations to be followed by the designers, by the one who is actually doing performance management? So, there are certain principles given, standard principles as well as some adhesive principles, uh, where the process can be designed effectively with the help of supervisors, um, subordinates, and everybody who are involved in the process. And we need to understand that it's a human process. People are involved with this system in this aspect. Uh, Generally, human tendency when people are involved, the tendency is bias. Okay, it should be individual bias, the one who is actually designing performance management might have some kinds of biases towards certain people, certain systems. Okay, and of course, already organizational bias will be there. So, organizational bias as well as individual bias or a personal bias, all these will impact the effect designing effective performance management system. To avoid these kind of bias, why bias comes into picture? That is because maybe a lack of trust. When there is no trust among the people, they'll resist the any system. Any system is resisted. Any change will be resisted by people involved in that when there is no trust. So building trust is the key aspect here. Okay. So here are 8 principles on which an effective performance management can be done, which includes the principle of goals, principle of accuracy, principle of rewards, continuity, objectivity, openness, empowerment, and of course, learning and change. These are the 8 principles which are key for an effective performance management. Apart from these 8 principles, uh, support from top management is very essential. Positive attitude of the employees and proactive role of HR professionals. HR professionals play very uh, crucial role um, when it comes to effective outcomes. And also, it's important to develop people management capabilities, bringing courage in the goals, bringing um, congruence in the goals, building interpersonal relations, functioning self directed work teams, mutual support and subordination, innovative organizational culture, high self motivated professionals. All these people can bring a better, effective, and better performance management in to any organization. And what are the elements involved in PMS? According to Dumont, performance measures to be established to support the achievements of goals with the intent to motivate, guide, improve individual stations. So, first, define the role. Each and every role in the organization should be defined very, very clearly. The job descriptions should be clear. And once role is defined, there should be an agreement between the parties involved to achieve the set goals. All the parties involved in should agree on what they want to achieve. Okay. And there should be a continuous development plan, and action should be taken or start acting on what was planned, and monitoring feedback, and of course the uh, reviews, formal reviews. These elements are involved in PMS or performance management system. What are the guidelines? Identifying training needs alone uh, cannot identify or cannot give a effective performance management system. There are other aspects should be taken into consideration. There are certain guidelines given by the uh, scholars uh, to design an effective PMS. Right? Here are the guidelines. As we discussed earlier, it is important to recruit right people in the right role. Whenever they are recruiting a people for a specific role, uh, it should in connection with in concerns with their talent and abilities. Okay, a similar kind of measure should be taken when employees are promoted based on their skills, knowledge, and efficiency. They should be promoted uh, at the time of recruitment as well as at the time of promotion. Also, the measure should be taken so that they can be employees can be in a, can deliver expected outcomes. Define, redefine, continuously update the job descriptions, specifications um, as per the requirements, current requirements, according to the changes occurring in the organization. So, uh, the latest trends has to be taken, latest current situations are taken into consideration while designing and redesigning job descriptions and job specifications. Induction. Induction plays a very key role whenever a new employee comes into the organization. Effective induction will create an effective impact on them and helps them to merge into the existing culture and climate of the organization, make them feel comfortable and delivers maximum output. Vaishnavi, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Right. Uh, Hope you are able to follow.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Uh, Creating supportive work environment. This is very, very, very important. If there is no support from the people who all are involved, especially the boss or the managers or supervisors, it makes the employees' life very, very challenging, and they may not be able to achieve what they are supposed to achieve, what they can achieve. So, there should be a cordial and supportive work environment, and also there should be continuous discussions on their performance. And it's also important to put the things on paper, make it as a draft or a contract for both the parties to come up to agree on and to deliver the outcome. Uh, and also measuring performance in terms of employees' contribution to overall organizational goals is also important. Okay. And continuous assessment of employees, their strengths, weaknesses, SWOT analysis has to be done. Okay. Linking their skills to the advancements in the career or a growth where they feel cared, and they feel that there is a growth and within the organization. They love to stick to the organization and to deliver better outcomes. Sorry, I think. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am. I can.
Oh, yeah. Assessment of potential, assessment of potential, employee potential in order to have a proper training program. So designing training is another challenge for the um, challenge for HR department or L&D department. Okay. Before they design the training for the employees, they need to have a thorough assessment what they need to be trained, where they need to be trained, how they need to be trained. Okay. Um, it also involves employees in setting organizational goals, involving employees in setting organizational goals. When you involve employees in goal setting or objective setting, they feel that they are part of the organization, they are valued, they are given importance. When employee feels all these things, when they are cared and they are given they were listened and they were mm, their opinions were taken into consideration, their opinions were heard, that makes the employee feel much better, and they love to give their 100% to the organization. And another important aspect is giving feedback. Giving feedback is crucial, and there is a criteria for giving feedback. Obviously, you need to start with taking their positive outcomes, recognizing their positive outcomes, and talking about them in the first place, appreciating their efforts, then slightly moving towards the areas of improvement where they need to still work on. Then again, coming back to uh, helping them to understand the problem, and again coming back to appreciation. So it should be sandwich feedback which has to be done on a continuous basis, and should be uh, it should be uh, constructive feedback. The other person has to take that in a positive way, constructive way, that will help both the parties to grow together. Timely counseling, yes. Human beings are emotionally, uh, they are very emotional. There are so many emotions which will interfere with their work because of personal or professional challenges or situations what they go through. Okay, so counseling them, timely counseling will help them uh, to deliver a better outcomes. And establishing performance linked reward system. We see this very commonly in sales and marketing. Of course, now this is very common in every functional area within the organization. You achieve this, you will get this kind of benefit. You achieve uh, the next target, and you will achieve, you will gain a better outcomes. So, reward based or reward linked performance system, that will help the motivates employees to deliver better, much better. Okay. There should be a proper mechanism, and it should be, you know, the compensation mechanism should be encouraging and of course equitable, on par with the industry, and that it should make employees motivated, and that kind of reward system has to be designed in the first place. That will help to have a effective performance management. And accountability. Who is accountable for what? This is very important. Accountability of supervisors, accountability of the employees. Everybody in the organization should be clearly given their areas of accountability, and they should be discussed with them, and that will help them to bring a positive psychological behavior, or a behavior in a positive way. It'll have a impact, a psychological impact on their uh, performance, and it brings commitment to the great team members. When they feel connected with the team members, they all work together to achieve the targets. And of course, record keeping. This is very, very crucial. Uh, Whether it is performance or the disciplinary actions. If anything goes wrong or any disciplinary action is taken on any employee or any individual in the organization, that should be recorded. Okay. And em- uh, information system management, MIS, we call it as MIS, maintaining management information system. That is also very crucial. I mean, like, this is nothing but, um, yeah. And leadership, developing organizational leadership uh, is one of the key for effective performance management. Stable leaders are going to create stable organizations. Okay, so that is important to create. It is important to create uh, leadership programs. I think let's move to another. Hmm. This is called performance management square. Okay, there are six key areas which are interlinked. If you see this picture, what is the first thing comes into your mind? Each and every aspect in this flow chart are interconnected. That's why we call it as a performance management square. So the first step involves defining the roles, setting standards, also designing compensation requirements, and role and compensation and standards. All these three should be agreed upon by all the people who are involved in the organization and with the who are related to that particular task or outcome. And plans should be, on once they come to a common understanding, common agreement, then a proper plan should be developed. Once plan is developed, actions, they put it into action, implementation part. Once implementation is done, uh, measures have to be taken, performance measures has to be set, and evidence should be created. Then continuous monitoring and feedback should be given. When it comes to reward, of course, around non-financial and financial rewards. Review should be conducted. Rating should be given to the employees, and financial rewards, hike in salaries or bonuses or performance based payment, financial benefits, or non financial rewards like promotion, recognition, um, anything can be gift vouchers, hampers, right? All this comes under non-financial rewards. This is performance management square. Mm, I think that's all for today.
Oh,
Anything you would like to ask or share?
no, ma'am, nothing. It's
Okay,
clear.
right. Um, After completing Unit 3 or 3 in the next weekend, I would like to discuss all the possible questions in the exam. When you are expecting your exams, ma?
No, ma'am, I don't have any idea.
Okay, okay. Since how many weeks or months you started fourth semester?
Since from yesterday, ma'am, these classes have started. Physically, I don't remember, but
No,
online
I'm
classes,
talking about fourth semester, beginning of fourth semester.
uh,
It's okay, leave it. Don't worry about it. All right, then. See you next weekend. Okay.
okay, okay, ma'am.
All right, ma. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Bye, ma.